La aventura tiene un nuevo nombre, Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. Con la Rogue Rock Creek estarás listo para conquistar el camino que venga. Si es una ruta rocosa, tienes llantas todoterreno. Ante una gran bajada, control para descenso inclinado y su parrilla tubular para techo, lista para lo que necesites. Cuando la vida te ofrece aventura, tú tienes la Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. La capacidad de carga está limitada por el peso y la distribución. Siempre asegure la carga. Cargar el vehículo con mucho peso, especialmente en el techo, afectará el manejo y la estabilidad del vehículo.
We will witness very strange events documented with the best technology designed to record phenomena called paranormal. Some that science cannot explain. We are not going to tell you that they are ghosts, spectra, or appearances. I also convince you that they are extraterrestrials. We are not going to affirm anything. The conclusions are going to get them out. Because many times, in the darkness of our fears we find much more than we believe. In the town of La Falda, in Córdoba, Argentina, there is an important construction with more than 120 years old and with an impressive story that gives it a category of legend. This is the mythical Hotel Eden. My vision on the origins of the skirt is associated with the presence of a group of people from Germany who bought a huge property and built a fantastic hotel, which is, in my opinion, my modest opinion, which gives rise to the people of the skirt. In 1912 he will sell it to the Engel brothers. With the beginning of World War I, in 1914, the golden age of the Hotel Eden began, and the flower and cream of the Argentine aristocracy joined. Even on one occasion, it is a well-known photo that Einstein was today. One of the Einstein brothers, Walter, along with his wife Ida, are the ones who work more actively and also those who travel frequently to Germany. On one of his trips, the owner of the Eden is invited to the Citizen Brewery of Munich, where a young man named Adolf Hitler would give a talk. What did they do? Rajesh Undi's Führung Hans geschlossen und unterstell. His speech manages to seduce the Einhorn, who decide to support him financially and began a close relationship of friendship between them. There was a very big friendship. Do not forget that they pay a plane campaign so that he can get to Circular. They buy a Mercedes-Benz to go and turn. There are a lot of contributions that he recognizes. It is said that it was said it is not true that in the world very few people were the one who could enter Hitler's office and one of those people was her. Ida Baumgarten in 1945, when World War II ends, the hotel was expropriated by being a German property in 1945 and the lack of evidence on the death of Adolf Hitler. The looks begin to aim at the skirt. Yes, all the Nazi hierarchs that occur to you they have been stopping 2 recently declassified documents and dating from that date. The FBI believes to be about to make the arrest of the century, since it had strong suspicions that the Führer was a refugee in the area. This information was then fed for decades by witnesses that again and again claimed to have met him on various opportunities. One of those witnesses was Catalina Gamero, who was part of the servitude of one of the owner's houses. Well, what I remember from him. He arrived one night. He looks that the driver brought him. I was not on the 3rd floor, but it is seen that he had taken them out. Now the wig. Yes, because it was a wig. What he had was not hair, but what they think they haven't thrown it. What do I want me to say? I tell him what I saw, nothing more. In 1947, Perron returns the hotel to the already elderly owners, who quickly sell it in 1960. The Eden closes as a hotel and ends its history as such. In 1998 it is acquired by the municipality of the Skirt and is declared a provincial historical monument. The Eden was transformed into one of the places where there are more complaints of inexplicated activity from Argentina, surely related to its disturbing story. Well, there are no photos. There is no wind. I'm dating alone. Look. There is someone here who doesn't mean something. Today I want you to approach where I am and tell me his name. How was the name of the woman here? And I say so why it came out. Ida. What is my face seeing me? And where is that? Like I no longer saw the time to get out of the inside. No, we listened to a very strong blow. I just feel a few steps next to me. Yes, I had to enter again. No, not. When we arrive at the place we focus on what has to do with night visits, which have a particularity and are based on real stories that happened in a tragic story and that they will also trigger a lot of phenomena. In this research you can carry out guided, daytime and nocturnal visits. In the daytime visit, obviously there is a strict story when telling what happened from here. And, well, in the night visit we allow ourselves to tell some other issues that make the intents of the nights and the history of this place at that time with these characters. For example, we have what are night guided tours. In the beginning, in the room where Anna was, where this girl dies, isn't it? We knew how to do like a joke, say, isn't it? For people to scare, right? But the joke became against us because there was one of the boys who got into the room to scare others until he was scared. The same. It is not true that at first it was, say, like a chest, a stronger chest. Then a hair run, then we said no, it is clear that this girl does not like the things we do. For that reason we stopped doing such jokes there in that sector. We may know and travel the place where night visits are made. And, it is an aspect that surprised us because beyond the playful aspect or in a certain way of entertainment that it has with that setting, there are some factors there that seem to be appropriate or happy, to put it in some way, in what it does to the Decuric ion, such as those photos and portraits that are authentic, and we even believe that in one of them seemed to us that they represented those typical photos that were made in a time of people who were already deceased, but they were portrayed as if they were alive. When we got to that place we did not expect what we were. That night tour not only had drawings on the walls and images taking advantage of the history of the place, but also images of real deceased people. That at the spiritual level does not generate anything positive, the anger that a spirit can generate. These types of places with total security are giving enough energy to generate very strong and very physical manifestations. The night begins, the team begins with the investigation, in this case in a divided way. Nacho and Javier are going to the boilers of the hotel, to the machine room, while Jorge and David will investigate the upper floor. So good, much success and see you in a little while. A little while, let's go. For those who follow the program and for those who didn't, they didn't follow us. I mean that I hate the basements. For various reasons. That those who follow the program already understand it and those who do not, if they look at our previous programs, will understand it. We are going to enter the darkest area of this Hotel Eden, which is here the machine room that we have already toured yesterday with Jorge. We felt a very heavy energy, we could document quite strange and nothing positive things. Yes, let's see if we can document something with the biometric registration chamber. Be careful, Javier. Hand for Javi because he feels cold. While this area is below and yesterday we feel a little more cold, it is as much faster. Another step. Well, very dark here. Do you feel the temperature change? Yes, it is much colder, and there is a different sensation. Well, I just turned off the camera. There it turned on. We start having some damage. In addition to the temperature decrease, the sudden descent of temperature and complying with electrical damage can be the indication of strange or inexplicable activity. But nevertheless, and you notice that Nacho manages again perceives it in some way, unconsciously. Are we going to enter the boiler area? With the Nazi ideology? Can disappear if they observe carefully to the right of the screen, they will be able to see a small figure that appears on one of the boilers. The striking thing is that I appear when I ask for it. It is a kind of amorphous figure. Remember that just a few minutes ago that strange animal noise had been recorded. It can disappear. We have the biometric and thermal registration chamber pointing directly to me. Let's see if we get answers for this device. What was the ideology of the owners of this place? Something very similar to Nazi came out. And very clear. What was the ideology of the owners of this place? At a certain moment, David perceives that we have to go to that sector, towards that hall. And that's where we head. Are you perceiving something? That is why do you want to come to this side? Yes. What is heard? There are noise, I don't know what. Oh, with children. There are no steps. No. Hey steps. Do you play? You are here. There are really impressive research levels that such clear laughs can be recorded without any other team. That implies a connection between the physical plane and the spiritual plane. Very strong. What is that it is heard? There are noise, that you do not. There are no steps, there are no steps. What I want to stand out from these steps that are heard is just that, vehemence, the force with which they are heard so that they sound like this. It means that the origin that causes it has to have a density that affects the environment that allows that sound, which is extremely striking because there, apart from us, there was no one. Then, there presents that intrigue, that dilemma, what causes those steps with that clarity so that we feel it like that? There are steps. You are playing. You are here. There are steps. We must notice several things in this scene. First, that these obviously childish voices were captured in the area near what this girl's room is. In addition, the baby's room. Who? Of the air. Of the room of the supposed spirit of Anna. We enter here. The electromagnetic fields are climbing 5. At the entrance. It was between 0 and 1. In addition they were heard without devices, without the need for devices. They listened to both Jorge and David. What is that it is heard? There are noise, I don't know what children also occurred in this hall that later, it will speak. There is a much densest energy. There is an ice cream block that changes attitude. It changes radically from this point. The temperature is absolutely impressive. It doesn't even be so cold outside. No, what did you hear? You heard that? Yes, I heard, but I failed to distinguish what it was. What was that? What did you hear? What was that? What does it seem here? Assemble the place to do the experience. We put the cameras and see if we can get some type of response. Yes, in this moment Jorge decides to take a tour of the rest of the rooms and the halls of that upper floor while David is left alone and will describe what is happening. At that moment I was feeling a presence on my left that was like charging strength, but I still expected Jorge to take the right distance because he was still listening to him to start asking questions. And I will win again so that we can hear. Jorge, what happened? What happened? They pushed the door. I will light the light. They pushed the door. I don't see myself to light the light. Tranquila, calm. What door? Push. He is out there. Jorge. Again, here is another situation that is otherwise curious, because the blow is clearly heard from David. But nevertheless, if we appreciate the door well, it does not move at all, although everything indicates that it was from there that the sound came. Jorge, what is I going to do? Because I am feeling as an energy that moves. Yes. And last time I was with the S11 is like that the noise bothered them, and I still feel that the noise bothers them. So what do you think if I stay with the S-11 here working and travel the place to see what kind of mobilization generates? Perfect. At the moment I was the perceptive phenomenon, I was more strength, I could appreciate three presences, a more friendly girl, like playing a woman, and a man who tried to describe him as a man because he was a very dark figure as trying to dominate the situation. There is a woman. I am perceiving. There is a woman. There is a girl. And there is that dark being that seems to be a man. I ask the girl if you can approach and talk. They bother you that I don't hear them? Is that you make fun of you and it's nobody? That you make fun of you and it is not from anyone? We tell you that this night tour that is done periodically in this hotel at the tourist level for many people is a mockery to the story that happened there. That's why David asks that question. Is that they make fun of you and it is not from anyone? They ran some voices of the SB11. I was connecting with three very specific energies that are a woman, a girl and a man. It's like nobody listened to them, they even made fun of history. It's like nobody could understand their history. And after building a life and a lot of experiences that suddenly comes down and that nobody can listen to you, nobody can understand you because you feel caught in a place. That is a feeling of much discomfort. That it does not become evil, but it is like that darkness that is generated by that resentment. But the root is sadness. And although I did not hear about the S11, I can feel and they transmit to me what they feel. While this happened, the rest of the team with Nacho and Javier continued in the area of the boilers. Let's see, Javi turns off the light. In this place, this site, the hotel presented us throughout the investigation that elements that had not been given previously, and one of these is what we appreciate in this image obtained by the biometric registration chamber. Because many times perhaps you can believe that the images that are seen are the product of the confusion of the software generating that. While we care to rule out every time that happens, this image presents an extra peculiarity that is represented there has a crossed hands. If we see the extremities are crossed above, that effect cannot be caused by any type of object or texture or anything similar that makes the software believe to the technology that is applied there that something produces that. That is something I had never seen. Well, let's see if we met David and Jorge. I saw it sideways here. That is, I did not see how the total demonstration was, but I saw it when it appeared here. This capture of the biometric registration chamber is really incredible for several reasons. In the first place, it seems to be caused or as if to take impulse and then even going against the movement of the camera seems to rise and disappear and just towards the place where David said that he perceived one of these three energies. It is undoubtedly one of the best captures we have made with this camera. Given the strong history related to Nazism and particularly also with the figure of Hitler. Nacho decides to put a speech in the hotel's halls as a triggering object. We are in the center where we registered yesterday's activity, that is, we have three fixed cameras, one pointing towards a hall, another pointing to the other and another where we had that strange experience with the window that we now took the precaution of struggling up, of bringing like this to avoid any type of confusion. Now it was very firm. Exactly. And we are going to use a trigger object. As you know, this hotel was closely linked to Nazi ideology, right? So, as a triggering object, only as that, we will use a speech by the leader of the Nazi party that was Adolf Hitler. Exact. Well, we are going to put his most famous speech in a speech. Jorge. Yes, exactly. The greatest preparation, the one that had the most diffusion and the one that was made for greater advertising. And well, that will surely serve to mobilize here. Let us remember something: in this hotel there was a short-wave antenna in which the speeches of Adolf Hitler reproduced, perhaps as a trigger object that begins to sound back in these corridors. After so many years, Adolf Hitler's voice can mobilize energy in a certain way. Exactly. What will happen is the following. David will be monitoring one of the halls where we have placed movement detectors and RedPod. Jorge also in another corridor with the same characteristics, and I will be with the full spectrum chamber taking photos, since most appearances that are reported are in photographs. Good. And Javier will also be behind the camera, showing them how the experience develops. Good, good. Let's start. Perfect. Jorge, are you ready? Soon. David, ready. Well, let's start this experience. With the card in. Yes, yes, I think YouTube. Anything is a way of saying. Well, it seems that we are going to the other. We go to the other hall with Jorge. He is playing, after so many years, Adolf Hitler's voice here at the hotel. And the commitment in there, once it comes out, of the system is when the enemy. Join him. You will have to have country people because we are going to go to the street and the administration with an approach to the paranormal research. More of a photograph should always be taken to the same place, because if something appears, we can rule out that it has been a reflex or any light effect. They remember that this camera is of complete spectrum, it covers both the infrared spectrum and ultraviolet light of the center, and for there is. Does it look? Is there someone here? This is Hannah's room. Hannah.sa movement sensor. We feel. Now we are going to put a little light to the bottom of the science room that this girl appears. Noise. Javier here with the camera, and I don't know if the microphone took it, but there was a noise in the background. The background noise is heard. There is someone here? It seemed to me. We seem to feel some noise here, but I'm not sure. Remember that this is the room where it is said that the spirit appears, the soul, the energy of a little girl they call Anna, who was the daughter of a president of Argentina here. A little light from the bottom of the room where it is said that this girl appears. Many. But now, the moment that I was waiting for more, which is the balcony where the famous woman in Blanco appears. If we are in this place. Remember that David and Jorge are with Adolf Hitler's speech, and it is on that balcony where we are going to go with Javier now, where that woman in white appears in the photos that people denounce. It is very common for people to get a photo of the hotel facade and find the photo, a figure of an envelope, a window in which there is no one, and we know that at that time there are no people circulating. Well, photos of the Blanco lady have arrived. We have brought groups at night, isn't it? To make guided visits here at the hotel. They have talked about them. When they show you photos of, for example, of a girl who appears on the balcony greeting you. Now we are going to take several photos with this energy mobilization of Adolf Hitler's speech, but with the complete spectrum chamber. We took more than 60 photos in this place, and in no one appeared absolutely nothing strange or paranormal. Well, we will return with Jorge and with David. When we returned from taking those photographs, we found that David was perceiving the presence of an alleged woman who moved from one place to another. That's why I started continuing with the full spectrum chamber. Until now. It is up. Above? Yes, but on the ladder no, above. We stay here. Well, look, look, look. You are up. There are steps up, while David and Javier go up. Nacho and Jorge go down to put that speech that had ended, and at that time they will see the following. Please pay attention. Well, Jorge, what happens there? Take off. Look, that stone. It wasn't. He fell. Something revokes? Yes. That stone was not, or was it? I don't know. But a fall was heard. Something like that. Let's see. Upper the shoulder up. We are not recording any of this. I'm going to grab the camera. Let's see. Well, we just felt this camera. Surely, owes it. He must have taken a blow that we thought was something of the revoke that fell. But we are going to check it at this time. Adolf Hitler's speech follows our. And the truth is that this is getting a little darker than was a little while ago. Maybe this triggering object is working. This I do not remember. The video should be reviewed. We are going to show you up. The ceiling is not in the best conditions, so it is very likely that something has fallen. But the east piece of stone that is here, that we do not see why we are in complete darkness, do they remember? I lost it. Now, where is it? There, that they see there. Well, it could perfectly be a piece of roof. I don't have how to distinguish it. You have to see the video. Then you have to see where it fell from. And if I was already, it was a blow. If it was not exact. It was a very clear blow. Yeah, the microphone of this camera must have taken it because it came from here. He says, we are going to look for David and Javier who went up. We saw something strange. What did they see? We were feeling with Javier, and here there is a very strange energy. We find a kind of metal eagle that we want to see it. Well, we follow it. Let's see. Be careful, because it is the roof. This is a very strange feeling. Yes, it is very rare. I feel like something here. Javier happened too. Seriously, as something in the chest, as it closes. It is a kind of eagle. Yes, it is a kind of eagle. It is seen that this octagonal turret is used as a kind of deposit. No, there, and the wings are against the wall. And it is like the symbol in decline of ideology, right? Well, let's check, because we were with Jorge below, a very strange noise and we seemed to see a stone that was not. This camera was directed exactly to the hall. Jorge, so we are going to review it and we continue the investigation. Yes. The first thing we did is go to the base to review those images that had been registered with the camera. We wanted to rule out something that perhaps we supposed or believed in the beginning, that it was some kind of revoke that had fallen. And when we saw each other in front of those images we couldn't believe it, at the time of seeing the material. I never imagined that it would have been such a strong, so marked phenomenon. Sincerely, when we had to review the material that was in that camera, I never waited or imagined what we were about to see. Well, we will check because we were with Jorge abajo, a very strange noise and we thought it was to see a stone that was not. This camera was directed exactly to the hall. Jorge, so we are going to review it and we continue the investigation. Yes, the first thing we did is go to the base to review those images that had been registered with the camera. We wanted to rule out something that perhaps we supposed or believed in the beginning, that it was some kind of revoke that had fallen, and when we saw each other in front of those images, we couldn't believe it. At the time of seeing the material, I never imagined that it would have been such a strong, so marked phenomenon. Honestly, when we had to review the material in that camera, I never waited or imagined what we were about to see. After this surprising fact happened, the team will check the recording. They pay attention to gestures when they will see it for the first time. Para. Where does it come from? Para. Give him back. We are going to see in detail the phenomenon that occurs here. The sounds and the breaths that you are listening are from Jorge and Nacho, who are behind that camera that you are seeing, just putting that speech that I have also heard again. The first thing we do is put the full image, more shrinking to enter the screen of any player. Well, Jorge, what happens there? Yes, look, that stone was not, because? What happens to also see that the possibility that this stone has been thrown from another place, that has been thrown by someone, is discarded in these images. Because as they are going to see, the stone appears, it materializes when there is even a space inside the screen to the left, in which the stone does not appear. She already appears in a certain sector of nothing. This phenomenon is not easily given, it requires a lot of energy, and to be able to register it, having the possibility that a camera is at that time, is something exceptional. It is not always given, always in this subject, and for being a television program, the theme of credibility is at stake. Now, beyond what anyone can think, I was in that place and I am aware and I know that neither Jorge nor I throw that stone. The fact of seeing it appear in the way that appears is an inexplicable or paranormal phenomenon that is rarely documented and is different from everything that I have documented throughout my career. The record of this incredible phenomenon not only remains there, but also, in post-production, 2 more objects appear, which not only have an equally strange appearance, but they have a difference in direction and power, which we will point out below so that they also see how one of them even appears a moment later. Well, Jorge, what happens if you look at that stone? It was not so that one or more objects pass from a spiritual plane to a physical plane requires a lot of energy. It is a great materialization. There are 3 objects with different paths and different energies. This is the stone, the greatest of which it appeared there, which surprised us for its vehemence, even because of the manner of its displacement. Many times we talk about contributions in this type of investigations, and it is not clear perhaps the concept of what a contribution is, what is considered such a thing. It refers to when an object that is not related to the place or is not present in the environment, appears out of nowhere and is present. It is precisely how the word indicates, a contribution, something that comes from outside. And this stone, along with the others that we saw afterwards, because at the time we had not noticed or distinguished them, it was one of those elements that rarely or almost never occur. And much less that it is recorded in the way that was recorded here. All of us who dedicate ourselves and have deepened in the investigation of this type of phenomena have heard, have seen and have heard about the issue of contributions. Now, in years of research, the possibility of being able to capture a contribution in chamber is really tiny. And in this hotel we did it. That is why when we saw it we react that way, because it is like the one who has a passion, for example, with football and shouts a goal. We have a very big passion for what we do, and when we see what we had documented we react like this. No, but paralela. And to have another specialized opinion of this shocking finding, we consult the parapsychologist Ubaldo Pino. Before the stone that appears, there are several hypotheses that could be handled. One of them has to do with phenomena and layers, that is, the phenomena of physical effects. Now, these phenomena of contributions can also occur by a place, as in this case, that you had a certain type of energy that together with the dramatization of the unconscious, makes this stone appear. Because, a ghostly could also appear, a ghost could even appear an unknown flying object. From my point of view, this spiritual phenomenon was increasing from the first manifestations to this last contribution. They are definitely spirits that want to get attention and notice. We are totally amazed because these contributions, as mentioned above, have a characteristic many times that is the vehemence with which they appear or that happen. There are many investigations done over time and in the counts that this phenomenon is caused. In many of them in large quantity, they appear with an energy, with a large movement development, which indicates, or it could be thought that this phenomenon needs or occurs as if it were an explosion at the moment that causes the object to be triggered. It is a contribution, just as the word that defines the phenomenon says. That is, it comes from the other hand, it is dematerialized and materializes again. Then the phenomenon is recorded. The interesting thing is to see how it happens. The theme of these contributions, of these objects that appear out of nowhere, has been studied for many years and with many examples. Most of the time based on stories. Being the first to document it in front of the camera and show it on national television is really a pride for us. Well, why? What happened there? We just finished this investigation. Really at this hotel, which I think is going to be an interforceable. We are very tired. It's too late, but I think it's worth it. No, incredible material. It was worth returning as David, a part I had mentioned. And I think we really have surprising things. David, you said we had to return because there was something very strong that wanted to manifest. Yes, I feel that you need to close the investigation and that there is something to demonstrate yet. There is something that is there, such as giving an answer or by giving a message. And from what we could see with the naked eye, we had a stone that moved on its own. Yes, a very large force contained. And as I told Jorge, when we are up, maybe we were the last people in listening to them or in or approaching what was happening. We went to the Eden Hotel in La Falda, in Córdoba, Argentina, motivated by its rich history, also to investigate everything that has to do with Nazism and that speculation that it could have even housed Adolf Hitler. But we also found a place that left us a lot of phenomena, which you lived with us. Look and tell me their names. Yes, and the pump? And the bomb? And that? Where are you going? Yes. What is heard? Children. Jorge. SE world in which if not anyone. We can say, and this is already a personal appreciation, which is a historical program, especially for which it could be recorded. Well, because. Fix, look that stone is not.